Hey, it's Bill Immaculate Paint Protection. We have a 2025 Ferrari 296 GTB. Ferrari came in yesterday, straight from the dealership. It was transported via closed trailer. Came off the trailer, came into the shop on a Ferrari here at Immaculate Paint Protection. It's here in the shop. We're gonna do full body paint protection film. First thing we did is we spent a few hours washing the Ferrari down. So we'll pull the computer out. We're gonna use computer cut templates. We're gonna computer cut the paint protection film. The paint protection film comes in a box. We're not gonna have to disassemble anything on the Ferrari here. We'll get the film ready, then we'll start application of the paint protection film. We'll show you the complete process of how we install paint protection film. Let's talk about the sequence of operations to install the paint protection film on the fender here on the Ferrari. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna wipe the fender down with Geon Prep. We're gonna make sure everything's clean, all the dust, everything's off the fender. Next, we'll spray down the fender with our soap and water solution. Then we'll come over to the table here. Our computer cut PPF that came off the plotter, we've already weeded it. So we'll pick the PPF up off the table. We're gonna transfer it on to the Ferrari. We'll start here in the top corner. We're gonna tack, which means we're gonna locate some of these notches. Then we'll come down to the side, to the bottom, tack it there. Then we can come in and we'll stretch it out, we'll push it to the front. Once I'm happy with the way it's lined up, taking consideration of how it lines up around the badge. The computer cut pattern accounts for the badge in there, so it's pre-cut, which is nice, which means I'm not gonna have to go back and take a knife to the Ferrari and cut around the badge. I wouldn't wanna do that. We'll get the squeegee out. The squeegee helps me remove all the water, remove all the soap and the water from underneath, so we'll squeegee it down. After I'm happy with that, now I'm gonna grab a towel. I'm gonna wipe all the film down. I'm gonna put my head on the film. I wanna look real close and inspect to make sure there's no debris underneath there. And then we're happy with that. After we're done with that, then we'll come back in here. All these edges in between the top of the fender and the hood, we can flush this out with hot water here. So we flush out with the hot water. We're able to roll this edge. That's where the edges become wrapped. So we wrap the PPF into the frunk area. The benefit of the computer cut film here is the fact that we don't have to remove the headlights. We don't have to take the bumpers off. Now there may be a scene where the film stops right there on the edge between the fender and the bumper, but I'm okay with that because I don't want to take a brand new supercar apart. I don't want to take a brand new Tesla apart. I don't want to take any brand new car or truck apart. That's the whole point here. So check that out when you're looking for paint protection film. Talk to the installer, ask them how they do that. Heard some real horror stories of people buying their brand new Porsche and they take it to a PPF guy and then they go in to see what's happening and then they see their brand new cars all torn apart. And that was something that wasn't talked at the beginning. It's not gonna wrap underneath where the bumper is. The reason being is for that to wrap there, we'd have to take the vehicle apart. We don't wanna take the vehicle apart. That's the beauty of using the computer cut patterns, is there's no disassembly in a brand new vehicle. So that's something you need to be careful for when you're shopping for paint protection film. Make sure your installer has the plotter, make sure your installer has access to high quality patterns. High quality patterns really matter here. And just talk to them, ask them, are you gonna take my car apart? You need to ask that question because sometimes a lot of guys selling the paint protection film, they haven't invested in the plotter. That means they're taking your car apart. You don't want to take a brand new Ferrari apart. You want to take a brand new Ford apart for that matter. So now I'm gonna wipe it down with a green towel, right? I'm wiping it down. I wanna make sure everything looks good. Make sure I've got pretty much all the water out. I'm making sure that there's no debris underneath the paint protection film. Now I'm happy with it. Now we can move on to the next step. Let's install the hood. We're spray down the hood. Now let's spray down the paint protection film with soap and water solution. So something we need to be considered when we're lifting this off. We lift it off and adhesive touches adhesive and it's dry. It's gonna ruin that paint protection film. So this probably looks somewhat simple and easy here at this point. And you know, for the most part it is. But there is obviously there's just some skill to getting the paint protection film off of here because it's so expensive and you know, I really hate to ruin a large piece like this just because I was rushing or doing it wrong. We're gonna transfer the paint protection film to the hood. We're gonna line it up in the corners. Once I'm happy with the way it's all lined up, we can start squeegeeing all the water out. Now, sometimes what you'll see is people will bulk out a hood. Bulk out means custom. And we'll do that here from time to time in Immaculate Paint Protection. We will bulk out a hood. It really becomes dealer's choice at that point. It really becomes installer's choice at that point. The reason we would do a bulk hood is so we can get more stretch down around the contours. I'm using my experience. We've been installing paint protection film since 2018, so I'm using experience now. I'm looking at this Ferrari hood. The contour, it's a relatively flat hood, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of stretch. There shouldn't be a whole lot of tugging. There won't be a whole lot of fingers coming out where we'll need, 4, 5, 6 extra inches to pull it out. So I don't know if, so from time to time, if you do see us using a big piece, that's why we're doing it, because we have a better installation at that point. And then when we do cut, we're always able to cut off the car, right? Because we'll wrap those edges so we're not taking the knife to the factory plate. So that's the difference between bulk and pattern fit hoods. So sometimes a bulk fit will look better on that. Okay, so we're moving along nicely on the Ferrari here. We have the fenders on. We've already installed the hood. Let's install the bumper now. So we need to wipe the bumper down. We're gonna use Geon Prep, make sure everything's off. We'll make sure the bumper's completely clean. We have the paint protection film that's already been cut. It's run through the plotter. We've weeded it off, so we're gonna lift the paint protection film up off the table. We're gonna spray it down. We're gonna spray the bumper down with our slip solution. That's gonna help the material float around until we can get it to tack or bond down to the Ferrari. So the trick here is getting the paint protection film off the table, a big piece like this off the table onto the Ferrari without dropping on the floor and picking up a whole bunch of dirt. That's why it's nice to have a helper here in the shop to give me a hand here when we do that. Of course, I can move with one man and do it by myself, but anytime I got a helper that's available to help me put it on, that's good. Something unique here about this Ferrari, or when we talk about paint protection film and how we install these, so there are going to be a few different pieces for this front bumper. So it's not going to be one whole piece. It's not going to technically be seamless. There are going to be some butt seams in there. Now the butt seams, when they're done right, they should virtually be invisible. Yes, you'll be able to see them, full disclosure, but they're on there. And the reason being is to do one piece custom with no seams, virtually impossible, right? So, and that would require most likely taking the bumper off the vehicle. So brand new Ferrari with 47 miles. I'm not in the business of taking these cars apart. I really don't think these brand new cars should be taken apart. Now, if it's your brand new Ferrari and you want the car taken apart, that's totally up to you. Cool, more power to you, but just make sure you're asking that question as to what somebody's doing. When they're telling you, hey, we're gonna do custom, there's no seams, most likely what they're really telling you is that they haven't invested in the equipment and they haven't invested in a high quality pattern. So we have high quality patterns, we know they're gonna fit, and that's gonna make it look great. So the idea of paint protection film here is to go on the vehicle and stop all the rock chips, all the stone chips. That way you go out and you can drive this Ferrari anytime you want. This way you drive your car without the fear of the rock chips and the stone chips. Also, a nice thing too about having these individual pieces, especially on these lower splitters and that take a whole bunch of impact. So if they need to come back and we just need to freshen up the splitters because the paint protection film's done its job and a little chewed up, we can replace just those individual pieces when the time's appropriate going down the road. So how do we get here to work on this Ferrari? So it's a big deal to work on a Ferrari like this. Everybody wants to touch a Ferrari. I get it. It's a big deal too. I'm excited to be working on this Ferrari. First car we worked on, Nissan Versa, $10,000 or $15,000 car. You don't just jump in and start working on Ferraris. It's cautionary tale, so if you do own a Ferrari and you're looking for somebody to work on, make sure they have some experience. You really got to be careful. Anybody can watch these YouTube videos, anybody can watch this video, but when you got to show up in the shop, doing the work, doing the install, if the job is bad, the job's going to be bad. There's some bad dudes out there that what they'll do is they'll step over themselves because this is such an aspirational vehicle. They'll want to use your vehicle. It may look good on Instagram, but are they doing the work or not? Side story here, a few years ago, met a dude, he got an opportunity to work on a Ferrari. He was just tickled to death that he thought it was gonna take his business to the next level, and then come to find out, he didn't know what he was doing, so he's trying to figure out paint correction by talking to me via text message. I couldn't believe it, that just the moxie of the dude to take a job that he had no business even working on. I know it sounds like I'm gatekeeping, I'm not. What I'm saying is, you need to go learn the craft and get it done right. Technically, is it any different working on a Honda than it is a Ferrari? No, but master the concepts, master the fundamentals. Like, you need experience. If you're shopping for PPF for your Ferrari, go have a conversation with the guy. The reason I'm working on this Ferrari today, the reason this Ferrari showed up off the trailer is because this is probably the 3rd or 4th vehicle I've done for him and his family. He trusts me enough with those 3 other cars to give me the opportunity to work on his Ferrari. I'm gonna do the best job I possibly can for him. Side point, I did a Hyundai. It was the N-type or N level. The guy shows up at my shop, starts talking to me, comes in with his wife, they start talking, they start bringing this photo equipment and they want to take pictures of their Hyundai, which is cool. Come to find out the guy has a McLaren on order. Now, if I just would have assumed that he has a Hyundai, I'm going to do a crappy job, he's probably not bringing me his McLaren. So it's always funny that the guy with the $40,000 or $50,000 car comes in and goes, well, it's not like it's a $400,000 car. And the guy with the $400,000 car goes, it's like, well, it's not like it's a $4 million car. So everything is kind of scalar by a multiple of 10. The point is, for me, in Immaculate Paint Protection, you do the same level of work on every vehicle and you treat every client coming the same. As an industrial engineer, I know the time, I know the cost of materials, and I know my overhead. I've priced the jobs out so where I can make enough money to feed my family, take care of the bills here. We're not on yachts or anything like that, but that's why I can put all my pricing online. So you're thinking, oh wow, a Ferrari $400,000, of course I'm gonna put PPF on. What I would say is, I would say the paint protection film is more valuable to your daily driver than it is to this Ferrari. Why? Because hence the name daily driver. You're out driving your minivan, you're driving your SUV every day on the road. That car is what you depend on to get back and forth to work. You're going up and down the turnpike, you're going up and down the highway, you're getting the rock chips and stone chips. You want your vehicle to look good when you're showing up to your job. Look, if you have a Ferrari, this is one of multiple vehicles for you. So you can pick and choose what days you're gonna drive this Ferrari. You're probably not gonna take this Ferrari out in the middle of the snowstorm, get behind the PennDOT salt truck and have it get peppered with rock salt that hasn't dissolved yet. If you are, that's pretty cool that you got the money to do that. You can't really pick and choose when you're gonna drive your daily driver. So hopefully you can drive your car longer. What I mean is that your car will look newer longer, so at year 6, year 7, when the vehicle's paid off, you're still driving it. If it still looks brand new, you're still feeling good about it. Everybody thinks you're driving a brand new car, but you're really driving a 7-year-old car that's already paid for. That's where you're gonna make your money back over the long haul with the PPF on that. I'm going to say this very humbly and very respectfully. I'm not a detailer. My hat's off to the guys that are doing detailing work. Detailing work is extremely difficult work. Immaculate Paint Protection specializes in paint protection film and ceramic coating. I've exclusively focused on the paint protection film and ceramic coating and Immaculate Paint Protection to kind of set myself apart. So that's not to talk down to a detailer. It's not to look my nose down at those guys. But what I'm saying is that if you're shopping for the paint protection film or you're shopping for the ceramic coating, make sure you're dealing with a specialist. So what happens is the detail shops, they're chasing the high dollar work. These coatings behind me, they're expensive. The paint protection film in the box, it's expensive material to put on. In other words, when things go wrong, they go real wrong, and it's expensive to fix that problem. The real nuanced point is that detail shop doing the PPF work themselves, or are they bringing subcontractors in? Ask the question straight up, who's doing the work on my car? And watch that shop dance around. I own the shop, I do my own work here. So if something goes wrong, a car comes back, I know I can fix it. Where if I'm relying on subcontractors to do the work, if the shop's relying on subcontractors, what happens when the shop owner doesn't pay the subcontractor and something goes wrong? You take your car back to the shop, and the subcontractor's not going to show up to the shop because he's not getting paid. Think about what you're doing, do some research, jump on ImmaculatePaintProtection.com, use my website. I got a whole host of educational information on there. Hey, thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you found this entertaining. Hopefully you found this educational. If you want to find out more information, check us out at ImmaculatePaintProtection.com. We got a full guide on there to break these projects down. If you're getting into it and you want to know how to wash your car, your truck the right way, check our videos out. That's the method we use. That's the method we recommend to all our clients. We got all the tools, all the chemicals, all the kits lined up for sale at ImmaculatePaintProtection.com. I'm Bill. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see you in the next video.